American bases getting hit with pinpoint accuracy, radars worth $500 million, gone. Satellite terminals, destroyed, command centers, struck directly. And the first question military analysts asked was not, who fired the missile? That part was obvious. Iran. The real question was something else. How did Iran know where to aim? Because what happened over the next 4 days didn't look like random retaliation. It looked planned, carefully planned. Targets were not just military bases. They were the most sensitive parts of the American defense network. Radar installations, communication nodes, early warning systems, the kind of targets you only hit if you know exactly where they are. And then came the intelligence leaks, and suddenly the story became much bigger. According to several senior American officials speaking to the Washington Post, Russia has been secretly providing Iran with something extremely valuable. Not weapons, not money, coordinates, precise coordinates, the locations of American warships, fighter jets, radar installations, missile defense systems.
Our reports Russia is helping Iran in the war by sharing intelligence about US military assets.
Multiple sources have also confirmed to CBS News Russia is providing intelligence to Iran on US positions, but the White House downplayed any concern about that intelligence. And Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth said Monday the US has since taken steps to move US forces.
Across the entire Middle East, Kuwait, Qatar, Bahrain, Jordan, the United Arab Emirates, Saudi Arabia. One official described the operation in very blunt terms. He said it looked like a comprehensive intelligence effort. In other words, Russia wasn't just helping a little, Russia was helping a lot. And if that sounds familiar, it should. Because this is exactly the kind of intelligence cooperation that defined the Cold War. Only now it's happening again. Except this time, the battlefield isn't Europe, it's the Middle East, and Americans are already dying. Some service members were killed in a drone strike on Camp Arif Jan in Kuwait, according to reports confirmed by ABC News. Dead and gone, and the way the attack unfolded raised serious alarms among defense analysts, because the drone didn't wander randomly into the base. It hit a tactical operations center. That is not something you find by accident. You need intelligence. Precise intelligence, the kind normally gathered by satellites, reconnaissance aircraft, or spies. And Iran doesn't have that level of surveillance capability. At least, it didn't. Iran operates only a handful of observation satellites. Most of them are old, limited resolution, limited coverage, not exactly the tools you use to track advanced military deployments across thousands of miles. Russia operates one of the most powerful satellite surveillance networks on the planet. Dozens of reconnaissance satellites, military-grade imaging systems, high-resolution optics capable of identifying aircraft types, vehicle movements, even infrastructure layouts. And according to CNN, much of the intelligence Russia has reportedly shared with Iran comes from that exact system. Space. Let that sink in for a second. The battlefield may be on Earth, but the targeting data is coming from orbit. And once Iran started receiving that data, the results were immediate. In just 4 days, Iran managed to destroy or damage nearly $2 billion worth of American military equipment. $2 billion in 4 days. That includes one particularly painful loss. A massive radar installation at Muwafaq Salti Air Base in Jordan. The system is called the AN/TPY-2 radar. If you've never heard of it, that's okay. Most people haven't, but in the world of missile defense, it's a big deal. A very big deal. The radar acts as the eyes of the THAAD missile defense system. Without it, THAAD can't see incoming threats. And if it can't see them, it can't shoot them down. Each radar costs roughly $500 million, $500 million. And only about 20 have ever been built. Iran destroyed one, completely. Satellite images show the installation burned, blackened, surrounded by debris. That's not damage, that's annihilation. And it wasn't the only one. Another radar connected to the THAAD system was struck in the United Arab Emirates, meaning 2 of the United States' most advanced missile defense sensors were effectively blinded in less than a week. Think about the strategic implications of that for a moment. Missile defense systems are built around layered protection. Radars detect threats. Command centers analyze the data. Interceptors launch to destroy incoming missiles. Remove the radar, and the whole system collapses. It's like trying to drive a car with the windshield painted black. You still have an engine, you still have wheels, but you're blind. And that blindness matters a lot in a region where missiles can travel hundreds of miles in minutes. But the radar strikes weren't even the most expensive loss. That happened in Qatar, at Al Udeid Air Base, one of the most important American installations in the Middle East. Iranian missiles struck an AN/FPS-132 early warning radar. Estimated value, $1.1 billion. Destroyed. Just like that. One missile, one target, gone. Military analysts began noticing something else as these attacks unfolded. The pattern. Iran wasn't just launching missiles randomly. First came drones, swarming, probing, testing defenses. Then, once those defenses were distracted or weakened, ballistic missiles followed. It looked familiar, very familiar, because it mirrors the tactics Russia has been using in Ukraine. Drone waves first, missile strikes second, infrastructure targeted deliberately, radar sites, energy facilities, command nodes. This is not coincidence. According to several experts speaking to NBC News, Iran's strikes show a level of sophistication that exceeds what analysts believed Tehran could achieve just months ago. China has quietly entered the picture too. Not with missiles, not with troops, but with something equally powerful: surveillance. China recently deployed a massive tracking vessel called Liaowang-1 into the Gulf of Oman. This ship isn't a normal warship. It's essentially a floating intelligence station. 30,000 tons of sensors, antennas, and radar domes. 5 massive tracking systems capable of monitoring missile launches, satellites, and naval movements across vast distances. It can track military activity hundreds of miles away and relay that information instantly to whoever needs it. Now imagine what happens when you combine Russian satellite intelligence with Chinese naval tracking systems. Space above, sensors at sea, both watching American forces, both feeding information into the same battlefield. That creates something military planners call sensor fusion. And it creates a nightmare scenario, because American military doctrine has long relied on one major advantage: mobility. Aircraft carriers, for example, are designed to move constantly. A missile fired at a carrier's position from half an hour ago will hit nothing but open water. The carrier will already be somewhere else. But if someone is updating those coordinates in real time, if satellites and spy ships are tracking the carrier every minute, then suddenly that advantage disappears. A missile launched at the right moment doesn't hit empty water. It hits the flight deck. And there are about 5,000 sailors on each carrier. That's why military planners are watching this situation very carefully. Because what started as a regional conflict is beginning to look like something else entirely. A global intelligence chess match. Russia providing the map, China watching the ocean, Iran pulling the trigger, and the United States suddenly realizing that its military movements across the Middle East may be visible to everyone, every base, every radar, every aircraft, every ship, watched, tracked, reported. The battlefield has become transparent, and that changes everything. Because if a war continues under those conditions, the United States may soon face something it has never experienced before. A major military operation, where the enemy already knows where every plane is parked and every ship is sailing. And that raises one uncomfortable question, a very uncomfortable question. What happens when the most powerful military in the world is no longer the only one with eyes in the sky? Whether Iranian missiles, guided by Russian satellites and Chinese tracking ships, could soon target something once thought impossible: moving American aircraft carriers. And if that becomes reality, the balance of power in the Middle East could shift overnight. Because when you hear numbers like $2 billion in damage, it can sound abstract, like a spreadsheet, like accounting. But behind those numbers are real places, real equipment, real people. And once analysts started looking carefully at the strikes, something very clear appeared. Iran wasn't attacking randomly. It was hunting specific systems, not runways, not fuel tanks, not empty buildings, sensors, eyes, ears. The parts of the American military that detect threats before they arrive. Take Muwafaq Salti Air Base in Jordan. At first, the strike there didn't attract huge headlines, but inside military circles, people were paying attention, very close attention. Because the target wasn't the airfield. It was the AN/TPY-2 radar system. And this radar is not just another piece of equipment sitting in a desert. It is the central sensor for the THAAD missile defense network. THAAD, Terminal High Altitude Area Defense, is one of the most advanced missile interception systems in existence. Its entire purpose is to detect and destroy incoming ballistic missiles before they reach their targets. But here's the catch. THAAD cannot function without its radar. No detection, no interception. That radar is the brain and the eyes of the system, and Iran hit it directly. Satellite images later showed the site completely burned. The radar installation destroyed. Debris scattered around the structure, a blackened impact zone where the system used to stand. Cost? About $500 million, gone in seconds, and it didn't stop there. Another radar linked to the THAAD system was struck in the United Arab Emirates. 2 radars, 2 eyes of the missile defense network, blinded. And remember something important. The United States only operates 8 THAAD batteries worldwide. 8. When 2 of them lose their radar sensors, that is not a minor problem. That is a strategic gap. And that gap appeared almost overnight. Then came the strike in Qatar. This one was even more shocking, because the target was located inside Al Udeid Air Base. If you follow military affairs, you already know this name. Al Udeid is one of the most important American installations in the Middle East. It hosts thousands of personnel. It serves as a major command center, and it houses some of the most advanced early warning systems the United States operates outside its own territory. One of those systems was the AN/FPS-132 radar, a giant early warning installation designed to detect incoming missile threats across vast distances. Russian satellite surveillance, because Russia's reconnaissance satellites orbit the Earth constantly, watching shipping lanes, monitoring airfields, tracking military deployments. If those satellites feed information to Iran, and China's surveillance ship provides additional updates from the sea, you suddenly have a real-time tracking network, space above, sensors below, both watching the same targets. This is what military analysts call sensor fusion. Multiple intelligence systems working together to produce a clearer picture of the battlefield. And that picture may now include the movement of American naval forces, which leads us to something else that has appeared in Iran's arsenal, a weapon that moves extremely fast, the Fateh-2 hypersonic missile. Hypersonic means speeds above Mach 5. The Fateh-2 reportedly travels much faster than that, around Mach 15. That's 15 times the speed of sound. At that velocity, a missile can cross hundreds of miles in just minutes, and traditional missile defenses struggle to intercept hypersonic weapons because of their speed and maneuverability. It stretches across the entire region. And yet, despite these losses, the White House has remained publicly confident. Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt stated that the United States is absolutely decimating the Iranian regime. She also said the Iranian military response appears to be weakening. According to her statement, Iranian missile launches are decreasing. Their navy is being degraded. Their military infrastructure is being destroyed. And the broader campaign, known as Operation Epic Fury, is meeting or exceeding its objectives. That's the official position. But critics point to another set of numbers: billions in equipment damaged, multiple radar systems destroyed, and intelligence reports suggesting that American military movements are being monitored by foreign surveillance systems. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth addressed the intelligence sharing issue during an interview. He said the president is fully aware of who is communicating with whom, and that any activities threatening American forces are being confronted strongly. When asked directly whether Russian intelligence sharing is putting U.S. personnel at greater risk, he responded with confidence. He said no one is putting American forces in danger. Instead, he said, "We are putting the other guys in danger." That's a powerful statement. But the battlefield itself may tell a more complicated story. Now here is the final question, and it is a big one. If President Donald Trump, the current president of the United States, decides to expand military operations against Iran, what happens next? Does American firepower overwhelm the intelligence advantage created by Russia and China? Or does that intelligence advantage make the battlefield far more dangerous for American forces? That answer will shape the next chapter of this crisis. One thing, however, is already clear. Russia has reportedly provided Iran with targeting intelligence. China has deployed surveillance capabilities near the same theater. Iran's missile strikes have become more precise. And the Middle East is now witnessing a conflict where information may be just as powerful as weapons. Do you think this intelligence cooperation between Russia, China, and Iran could change the balance of power in the region? Or do you believe the United States still holds the overwhelming advantage despite these developments? Drop your thoughts in the comment section below. If you found this report helpful, support the work by liking this video. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you can stay updated on the biggest military and geopolitical developments happening around the world.